Hey, guys.
Hey, Liz, what's happening?
Hey, Daddy-O. How's it going?
I have the man flu. I don't know what that's all about.
It's just a little cold, but it's taking you down.
It's taking me down. It's taking me down.
I'm sorry.
I got puffy eyes and all kinds of stuff going on. So it's going to be a great episode today, But anyway,
you did good.
My first recording in my new office. I'm excited about that.
The Wave new your Joe arms around HQ. So the light doesn't turn off.
Yeah, because the light will turn off. If I don't move like every 5 minutes, my light turns off. That's a setting. I'm going to get up there and I'm going to get up on a ladder and figure it out because it's one
probably
of these.
Not today, though.
No. Although I will say something that did happen today.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I installed a TRX strap in my office because I feel like I sit way too long. So when I get up, I like to do a few stretches before I go in the house for anything, in the main part of the house. And apparently I didn't hit the stud when I installed the thing. So I was doing.
Did you hit your head when you fell?
No, thank God. I was doing some back stretches and all of a sudden, boom, the whole big metal clamp comes out.
Did it hit your head?
It did not.
That would knock you out.
Nothing hit me. I jumped out of the way. I jumped out of the way just in time. But I had to spend about 15, 20 minutes cleaning up all the sheetrock dust. And then thankfully I had some patch. So I patched it all. I have to get up there and do a little sanding, a little painting, but yeah, what are you going to do? I don't know. Your mother was like, "You're not installing that damn thing again." I'm like, "All right, fine.
No. I won't install it in the wall and do it in a stud."
I know. I gotta. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will.
Or just go to the gym. Well, today's going to be a great episode. I'm actually very excited about it. I feel like I've been saying this a lot, but this is a subject I'm super passionate about. Do I say that a lot?
Yeah, but there's a huge gap, right? Like in the sign industry. And we, sometimes I feel like we're the crazy aunt in the basement. Well,
the redheaded stepchild,
whatever. It's like you go to all these community colleges and they have welding programs and appliance repair programs, all the cool, all the big, trade, right? You'd think are big trades. So the sign industry is a huge trade too, but carpentry programs and all this. And then signage, it's like, okay, yeah, sure. You could cobble together design, but are they going to teach specific for the sign industry? No. Welding, are they going to teach specific for building signs and fabricating cabinets? Nope. Some community colleges might do a little digital printing, but you don't see much of it. So this program, these folks that we're talking with today, and you can introduce.
Yeah, today we're talking to two great people, and the first very well, the infamous Wendy Graves. I feel like I know we have interviewed her before, but again, this isn't our first time on education as a topic on our podcast. And Wendy's a huge player in education for the sign industry. She is constantly trying to get education out there for this industry, which is phenomenal. She's really made that her passion. Of course, we all know her with Make It Happen Signage Academy. That is where Make It Happen is where they go to they run workshops essentially at different sign companies. And of course, Women in Signs, etc. We know and love her from there. I am a part of the group. I am a huge proponent for the group. All of the women in our company are part of the group. And Wendy is the leader. And that is a Facebook group designed specifically for women in the sign industry. It's just a great support group. And, as women, a lot of times in an industry that's male dominated, we don't feel like we have a safe space to ask questions. And though behind the signs, I'm biased and I can say it's also a safe space to ask questions. Sometimes women just feel more comfortable with women. So Women in Signs, etc. is really a great place for that. Look it up if you're not.
It is a great Facebook community. Also, we are talking with Christy Ralston, and she is the employer consultant for Ivy Tech Community College. And it's in Sellersburg, which is in southern
Sellersburg. Because in other states, they actually pronounce all the letters in their cities. It would be Salzburg in Massachusetts.
Salzburg. Anyway, it's in southern Indiana. They have a pretty big network of community colleges. So their support for what Wendy is doing with the Signage Academy, or it's not even going to be part of Make It Happen Signage Academy as much as it's going to be a program that's being offered within the community college. So
it is not Make It Happen Signage Academy. It is Ivy Tech Community College, which is exciting.
It is. And you'll learn a lot about how the program works and where they're getting started when we interview Wendy and Christy today. So, but before we get started, I'd like to take a minute or two to thank our wonderful friends and sponsors.
First, we'll thank our friends, of course, at Sign Builder Illustrated. If you haven't already, check out our article, our column in the monthly magazine. You can do that online, or if you're like me, in the paper copy. And also, as you all know, hand in hand with education, we're huge proponents for joining your local sign association.
Because
remember,
membership
matters.
Yes, it does.
Be sure to check out. We have a lot of links for regional and national sign associations within our group and behind the signs. Be sure to check out all their activities that they have going on. And I know there's a big mentorship program that's being announced through Mid-South, which is really exciting. That's the newest one. Anyway, there's always a good program for you. Join your local association, join the national association, join the International Sign Association, and check them out at signs.org.
Oh, boom, you got it. Not to be confused with signshop.com, which is...
I don't know why they really get me, the two of them. I can't do it.
Well, we work with both of them too, so they cross over. But anyway, I also want to say a special thank you to our friends at Ingtabo. Of course, they are very supportive of the Behind the Signs community and the podcasts and the shop tours and all the stuff we're doing. So a special thanks to them. And you can learn more about Ingtabo and the products that they offer to the sign and print industry at ingtabo.com. Mostly, I wanted to just give a huge shout out to the Sign Tracker product and to the Clarity Pro product.
Clarity Go.
Clarity Go. Oh my gosh. Both those products are definitely great tools for the sign industry. So if you were looking for a tool to help you manage your workflow, quoting, the team tasks, files, all the stuff that sign shops need, again, go check out Sign Tracker and Clarity Go, and you can learn more about both of those at ingtabo.com. Hey, before we go, I should say, big favor. I'm going to ask the community a big favor. Oh my gosh. Will you please hit the like button on our follow button on our YouTube channel?
Subscribe to us on YouTube. That helps us a lot because we're trying to get the commercials out because we don't like commercials.
Right. Until we get to 1,000 followers. And the funny thing is everyone seems to watch us through our Facebook community, which is awesome. We're so happy that you're there. I think we're like well over 18,000 community members now, which is fantastic. Mm-hmm. But if you could,
and thanks for staying educational and nice.
Yes, it is a nice space
and supportive. Yes,
it's a very nice sign industry.
Anyway, like and subscribe, and thank you all for being here.
So, without further ado, where do we go next?
Let's jump in.
Christy and Wendy, thank you so much for joining us today. This is a really important topic in the sign industry. So, we have Wendy Graves with It Happen Signage Academy, which we're going to do a nice long introduction to you before we actually pop on with you guys. And then Christy Ralston, who is an employer consultant with Ivy Tech Community College in Southern Indiana. Is it Sellersburg? Is that how you pronounce that? Sellersburg, Indiana. I've never been there. I'm trying to think of, I've been to Indianapolis. I've been to Indianapolis. Very cool city. Yes. Oh, and that's where you are, Wendy? You're based out of?
I'm just across the bridge. So Louisville in Indiana, Southern Indiana touch, and via bridge, I'm over there in 15 minutes.
All right. Yeah, it's a cool city. I've been there for, I think, Graphics Pro shows a few times. And so, but anyway, well, it's good to have you guys. This is such an important topic because, Wendy, we've had conversations with you about this. It seems that sign shops, it's that whole problem with trying to find and train good employees. So I want to, really dig into what you guys are doing to try to solve this problem. So thank you for your hard work in this and with this issue. And then also thank you for spending a few minutes with Liz and I today. So
we're so excited to have you guys. And for me, I know anyone that's listening today knows us well enough to know that education is our number one goal in this industry. And if you know me, you know that I'm a huge proponent for continuing education and formal education. I think it's a really important part of the process in keeping trades alive. It's not just about hiring the right employee, though that is a big help, but it's also about if you're only relying on, people telling people how to do something once you're in the shop or in the environment, it's not going to survive forever. So having this formal education is really a good next step for us. So we're really excited to talk about this today.
Yeah. And I think too, you think about, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but just having a signage program, because I think most people, I mean, even for myself, for example, like how people will say, well, how did you get into the sign industry? And my long-standing joke, Elizabeth, are you rolling your eyes right now?
I am.
Okay. When I graduated college with a degree in religious studies, and back in the day before Indeed.com was around, you went to the back of the newspaper to look for jobs, and I was shocked that there was no religion section in the newspaper. So then I'm desperate. So I always say, like, I prayed and said, God, please, you've got to show me a sign.
Look at that.
Here I am, 30 years later.
He showed you a sign, and now you can never leave.
Oh, it's a life sentence. The thing is, that is the thing about the sign industry. It's so cool, right? But once you kind of stumble into it, then it's like, oh man, I'm here forever.
You are.
And because it's based in tribal knowledge, your family's here forever. Hence why I'm in the industry.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
All right. So now that we've kind of laid a bunch of hints and not really gotten to the subject, let's start with Wendy. So like, we know, Wendy, that you have tried to kind of formalize education in this industry in many different ways, successfully so. When joining Make It Happen Signage Academy, you're bringing that education to shops or to a shop, and then other shops can come. But I think it's given you a really good perspective that not everyone else has. So I want to ask you, like, as a sign industry educator, inside sign shops, what trends have you seen in the industry that's made workforce development so personal to you?
Well, I mean, as you're speaking about the fact of being connected to the sign companies, I think the word struggle really just pops out to me because, we've joked across, independent shops, franchises, family-owned businesses right now and for a long time, but it feels stronger now that we're having a struggle to really find candidates and get the work out. Because of course, if we're blessed to be busy and, get the work, we have to then follow it through with having those team members that will help us execute. And, a lot of the things with AI and some of the other concerns, while people, see it as problematic, AI is not going to replace our industry. We're not going to have, well, I don't know, Joe, maybe if we're around for like AI robots or something, they might create one that can trim cap or weld or, something like that. But really it's the struggle. You've got this work. You've got to get it out. You want to get it out in a timely manner that is economical and quality. And that's a struggle when you don't have enough people and they come to you untrained. So I really think that word is really resonating with a lot.
That was part of the next question I was going to ask you too, is like, what is the struggle, that you're seeing out there? And obviously you just said that. So how do you see this program and this partnership with Ivy Tech helping? Like what's the overall vision for it? And, Wendy and Christy, I mean, you both can kind of talk about that if you want to, but.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, when I met Matthew and Christy, I think that there's just like with anything else, when you're an outsider looking into our industry, you're blown away with what you see. I will never forget the first time Matthew and some colleagues came to a local sign shop and toured. They were like, oh, wow. Like I never thought this, right? Because you just see the end product. And so when the conversation first started happening with this partnership with Ivy Tech, it was really important for us to almost create a hybrid model for success, because we can take the online educational platform, but we have to have the real in-person skills, because if not, I can tell you all day what a piece of acrylic is, and I can hold it up and I can rotate it. But then can I tell you to go get it off of the shop floor? Will you be successful in finding it? And I don't think the answer is yes. So really pulling them together with that I think is going to be key. And that's why Ivy Tech for me has just been an amazing partner, because Christy also understands that. And our backgrounds align with similar career paths. And so she very much follows a similar model from her previous experience. So it was almost like a little match made in heaven, connecting Christy and I.
So where does the program start at the school? Like, are you going to actually open up a full blown sign shop? Are you going to start with like fabricating electric signs, or are you going to bring do you already have a welding program at the school that you're going to start incorporating into the sign program? Like, where do you envision the whole thing starting?
So, Christy Ralston with Ivy Tech. As an employer consultant with Ivy Tech, we actually have this beautiful space where we can create programming and for employers, and we can curate it and cultivate it in the way that the employer needs it. So on the academic side, you've got full semesters of courses, correct? And on the skills training side, which is kind of where I've come in, we can actually cultivate programs any length, any duration, based on what the employer need, or in this case, industry need are. And so we decided to start with this on a skills training component, because that way we can build this class in bite-sized increments and meet the exact needs of the industry. So we're actually starting out with a sign design and production course as the first course in a 4-part series, thinking that it'll be about 16 weeks. And it will be a hybrid of online instruction through a portal that you'll see, that like Canvas or Blackboard, that's very similar, that a lot of students are familiar using. You'll get all of that curriculum from Wendy and instructors here at Ivy Tech. And then students will be able to go and do their practicum experience with a sign shop in their area, who ideally will want to hire them or has already hired them to do that great work. Wendy was sharing earlier, so I come from a workforce development background in human resources in the healthcare sector. So I've been building apprenticeship and student-based learning programs for nursing apprentice, for respiratory apprentice, for lab and other programs. And one of the key components that we've always seen is that hybrid between learning something in a classroom setting or academic component, but marrying that with the hands-on work in the setting that you're going to be doing that work in. And in a cohort structure, that's like the triple threat, right? Now you've got great academic programming, you've got the environment that's going to help you succeed and allow you to stay as an employee and work long term. And then you've got these cohorts or these counterparts that are going to do this alongside of you. And so in the healthcare sector, like Wendy and I came from, you take your retention rates from, not so great to pretty exceptional. And it becomes an almost guarantee. And so that workforce strategy is the one that we're employing in this particular model, so that Wendy will be able to take all of her students and watch them grow and be successful employees at sign shops all around the region.
That's amazing. Yeah. So, I mean, I think we can all agree this program's 113% needed. Like, absolutely, we need it.
Not even 100, 113.
If you're going to do anything, give it 113. There's a whole long story to that, but watch the pilot episode of King of the Hill if you haven't. Okay, but I think, like, Christy, though you come from a workforce background, the signage industry is really a niche industry, right? So what kind of made you see, I guess through discussions with Wendy, what made you decide that this program needed to happen for the signage industry, at least, starting in your area?
Absolutely. So, like anything else, I start with doing my research. So I looked at market segmentation. I talked with other companies. I went out and met with individuals. I looked at job postings. And then I looked at the curriculum that currently exists and saw the huge deficit, right? And one of the things that Ivy Tech has allowed us to do at the community college level is respond to the needs of the community in a way that meets their needs. And so essentially my leadership team was like, you're right, there's a gap. This isn't viscom and this isn't industrial maintenance, and it isn't business management. They all come together and intersect in this beautiful space. And so the idea that we're going to expect somebody who studies viscom to magically matriculate to sign industry or vice versa, it's like we're putting boulders in people's pathway to be successful. And so our goal is to remove those boulders and to offer a streamlined solution where people can live the dream that they want to live, and that sign shops shouldn't have to work so hard to get the employees, the qualified, competent employees that they need.
Sorry, my light just shut off automatically.
Yeah, it shouldn't have to be that hard. See, I thought it was a sign from the gods saying, yes, this is exactly what everybody needs.
Yeah. Well, and I would think too, like I would say, and Christy, obviously we've been working together for quite some time. We have developed a friendship and she really understands me and vice versa. But it's also like this tenacity, I think I would say. Is that right, Christy? Of this is where I want to go. And I know that it will be hard. And I know that, there will be tears involved at some point, and there has been already. But I just, again, coming from a background where this is what we did, you do your classes, you then go and do it in person. It makes you a better person when you show up for the person who's going to hire you. And to her point, you stay longer because you're happy, you're not frustrated, you've been trained. It works. And so, at one point we actually laughed. We were having a meeting and she was like, this kind of makes sense. Like now that she's known my background well before signs, she's like, well, this makes sense that this is what you've kind of pulled together. And so, yeah, it's just been, it hasn't been easy. It's definitely been challenging, but at every turn there is the support from the college. And then there is support from people that I speak to that I've kind of considered like trusted advisors to like help us with this development.
Absolutely. And that's so important. I think that it's easy to get overwhelmed and honestly just stop doing it when you don't have that structure supporting you, right? Like as much as it's a new program, having Christy there to say, yeah, but this is how we build a program. Like, here's your support structure. So now you just have to build onto that versus trying to do it all from the ground up. So that's super important. And I'm impressed. I know I mentioned this before we were recording, but my husband tried to kind of talk with our local community college about starting just within the design program, a signage design program. And it's hard, if you don't have someone in not admissions, it's not the word I'm thinking of.
Like the academic platform.
Yeah, we'll go with that. To help support you or help say, yeah, we can do that. And this is how we can do it. Without that, the program will just fall apart, especially if you're trying to promote it to a bunch of students, right? Like, how do you get that? And you guys already have the pool of students. So I definitely see this as a really good partnership.
We met with a lot of the key departments within the college to say, like, is there any curriculum right now we can pull from? And everyone was like, no, because again, we're in signs. Like, it was very design oriented. But they were like thrilled and so excited to even just themselves just have conversations and learn more about it, which just says a lot about the faculty and the college themselves, just to be so supportive of trying something new and different. But we very much early on recognized, I told them, I said, high school students, people who are still in college, I'm calling them like career shifters, which is like what I was. We don't have, 2-4 years, or we may not want 2 or 4 years to go into something. And so we purposefully looked at it like that and said, you know, is someone going to walk away in a semester and be this, you know, amazing designer with all of these skills 100% perfected? I mean, of course not, right? Because we're always developing and improving. But will they show up introduced to our industry, have some of the basics, speak some of our language, be able to identify materials, all of those things to build? I mean, that's light years ahead of what we're getting because people just don't know our industry. So, you know, I mean, it worked because falling underneath the skills-based makes this a platform that we can shrink and expand as we need. And it's not the academic side of the actual 2 and 4 year programs.
However, they can fit into that, which is the exciting part. So all of our skills-based training can articulate for college credit. The beautiful thing as well is once we've established this 4-part program too, if somebody wants to go back and take additional welding courses, we can offer that. If they want to do an entrepreneurship program or a business or a finance program to you know, hone in on those skills because that's becoming more of their role within the sign company. That's doable too. And the other piece is ease of access, right? We want this to be accessible to everyone. We want this to be available to anyone who needs it. And that's one of the reasons why I think the community college is a great place for this to live, because it can be replicated across the nation. It can be supported in a way economically that can tap into government funding and resource allocation to support the business needs. I was actually just looking up a fact about you know, the jobs that exist today, will they still exist in 2040, right? Because everything is shifting and changing. And one of the things that we as a community college have to do is listen to folks like you all, listen to folks like Wendy. And when she says this industry is booming, respond and say, we're going to help you create this curriculum. It's got a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this. And she's the subject matter expert. And she said before to me once, it was great. She was like, I know signs and you know education, and together we can get this done. And I was like, yes. So even when there's days where we're like, we're running up against this hurdle or that hurdle, you know, it's one of those things where at the end of the day, the goal is not even us, right? The goal is to create a pathway for these people, for these students to be able to walk on, a road, quite frankly, rather than some like trail that you're kind of like in the woods and there's poison ivy everywhere and you can't even see ahead of you where you're going. We want a paved road with some little offshoots that they can choose, but we want something that's going to make it easier for people to be able to get into signs and to do the great work that you all love.
I love
Amazing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
Also,
it.
the word was administrative. It came to me. I got it. My brain clicked. It worked. Okay. So I think that the next logical question is, how do we get this to sign shops? Like, how do they know? What does the outreach look like for a program like this?
Well, I'm just going to throw a plug out there. I was at a chamber meeting and I was talking about leadership, and I had a totally different faculty member, a totally different adjunct with me. And everybody was like, wait a minute, aren't you working with Wendy? And I was like, how do you know Wendy?
Everyone knows
She denies
Wendy.
it, but everyone knows Wendy.
And I was like, I shouldn't be surprised that you all know Wendy. And it wasn't even here in Indiana, it was over in Kentucky. And I was like, well, of course, you know Wendy. Everybody knows Wendy.
No, I mean, so obviously behind the signs, right? Like I came to like this leading podcast for our industry and you guys, because it has to start with us, right? It has to start with us getting out the message, you know, waving some flags and saying, hey, we think we're on to something. Like, if we can all just get behind this, then we can actually start to make a difference. But, our goal at the moment is to launch in August. So we're going to be launching in the Southern Indiana area. So that would be Louisville and Southern Indiana. And then I am going even up to Indianapolis. I'm actually going later on this week just to introduce myself to some sign companies up there. But I am just going to be talking to anyone and everyone. Will be 3 different ways that people are going to be able to get involved. And the first will be to become an approved training sign company. And there will be a list of certain criterias that the sign company has to meet. And it's not to keep anyone out, of course, but the goal is that we have to start somewhere, and we have to be able to expose the students to certain criterias. So the shop has to be busy enough to see certain things. They have to have supportive team members in place. If the shop doesn't have a designer, they would need a designer, and so there's just certain things that they're going to have to follow in order to become approved. And it's a relatively short list, but it's an important one. So they can become that. And then in a certain city, they will basically be on that approved list. So whenever students join, I will then be able to pull from that list and say that, this would be your closest approved sign company. So that's the first way.
Super smart, though, because that guarantees that the experience will be the same, right? Regardless of whichever shop they go to. If you're making sure they're meeting that criteria, then you can guarantee this.
Yeah, because the last thing you want is for someone to show up and they're excited and they're motivated and they're trained and probably new to the industry. And then they get to a shop that's so disorganized that they don't even know where to plug them in to get them started, But the flip side of that is I'm not saying that there's shops out there that like that, maybe 1 or 2 or more. But you know what I mean? But the flip side of that is, what an opportunity for a sign shop owner to be able to bring someone on board that's had all this training, that understands the language, that understands, especially if it's even just the graphic design side to start off with, how that design translates into production, like you said earlier, with materials and functionality and all that stuff. I mean, it's a huge win-win for sign shop owners. That's for sure.
Okay. So that was one.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is kind of going back to our history with Christy and I, you have to have the support in place. So, I love, and I've met, and you guys can attest to, I love big, small, medium. I love all sign shops, right? They're all uniquely amazing. But to your point, when you're expecting for people to train, there has to be some type of parameters in place for success for the students. And so those are some of the things that, again, speaking to people in our industry, we've created a list that, these are some of the things that the sign shops need to have in order for what we think might look like success for them. And ultimately, if the program is successful, our industry is successful, right? Because we get these students. So you've got that approved sign company list. That would be involvement 1. Involvement 2 is maybe you're not in the position to bring in a student. Maybe you've elected to do certain things within your business that it just doesn't align, but you want to be involved. So then you would land on the potential hiring list. So in a particular city, you may say, well, anyone that graduates from, let's say, the Indianapolis area, and that's where your sign shop is, once they've, quote, graduated, I would then send that list to all of the sign companies on that list. And then it's up to them to interview, to test their skills, to do that. I mean, I can only, I'm not promising anything, right? They have to do their part. The sign companies have to do theirs. So that would be number 2.
Since it's so localized, have you guys thought much about having a meet and greet in person on the campus?
Yeah, we actually, I've talked to, Christy and I have talked about even having, once the approved sign companies in this first area is squared away, then that being almost could be the intro before the class begins, to get to meet some of the other sign companies, some of the other students going through, because again, this is a hybrid. So they're not going to then be together at the same sign shops all of the time, right? Depending upon how many. So again, it's just kind of a way to create that camaraderie and to show off the sign shops and get them excited into something as well. So we have discussed that. So yeah, you've got your approved, and then you've got your hiring, and then the last is monetary. We're in this industry, and not that I'm saying, please give me all your money, because that's not what I'm asking. But, if you have $25, $50, $100, if you $500, like whatever, if you want to, we will eventually have a QR code and a link, and it goes to a direct bucket for our program. The goal will be we can discount student tuition. We can cover all of their materials. We can do we can buy certain kits for them to make sure that they've got everything they need when they first show up. There's a lot of things that we can do. And, we've been able to secure some funding from some suppliers that are very excited about this. But I do, this is where sometimes I get torn, because we, that famous saying, we've got to put our money behind our mouth, we've got to sometimes step up and do it. And it's not going to take a lot, because the program itself, we're keeping it very economical, and it's a part-time program. And so people will be able to work and still go through this program. So, that's the goal, but we're not really asking for a lot from the industry, except for, if you're in a position to become an approved shop, we want to hear from you. And if you're not, but you want to hire, we want to hear from you. And then if you're just not for any of those yet, but you believe that our industry needs something, just throw a few dollars and know that it's going to the Ivy Foundation, and it'll go for our pot.
I know this is going to be a huge success, but what does this look like as far as trying to expand this to other community colleges, or, what is the next 5 years say for the sign, how this is going to impact, or what you guys envision this impacting the sign industry?
Well, clearly from an Ivy Tech Sellersburg component. So we are one of 19 community college campus locations within the state of Indiana. But we are singularly accredited, which means any of those other campuses can pull my program or our resources. And with Wendy's approval, they can offer that through those locations and have that high touch, high fidelity impact in those areas as well. So whether you're talking Fort Wayne, or you're talking Indianapolis, or you're talking down here with us or Madison. But the other piece is that I know, and that Wendy has national, if not global, inspiration for this. And so the other piece,
she's very famous. She's humble, but she's famous.
You guys are killing me right now.
No, she is. And that's the coolest part is that we know this too at Ivy Tech. So we also know that our jurisdiction only allows us to go a 5 or 6 state radius, right? And then after that, we might have to let another community college or somebody else take the curriculum and run with it. So we're creating this upfront to know that it's going to need to be packaged so that it can be delivered by other community colleges with Wendy's guidance and oversight in other locales all across the nation. Because again, the goal is supporting the workforce and meeting the needs of the future. Not necessarily just giving the same education we've always given, but really looking at what do folks really need, and how do we package it, and how do we deliver it in a way that's accessible and affordable and taught by subject matter experts, and just in time, right? In the time frame that they need it.
I know that Wendy and I have talked about this, extensively. Part of the issue that we see in our industry is, well, like many industries, we need younger people, right? You need younger people to keep it going. And the mindset.
What are you saying?
Younger.
We still love
Everything
you,
I need
Joe.
to
I'm
say.
just curious. I was just curious where you're going with that.
I think that what's changed, obviously, in our society is that college or continuing education has become a necessity for every other industry, and it's becoming an expectation, right? Back in the olden days, Dad, when when people graduated high school, if they graduated high school, they went into trades. They went directly to work with their hands, and that's how industries just kept going, more manufacturing industries. But now, all those manufacturing industries have this formal education path, except for ours. And yet we need these younger people. So we've had a really big issue in this industry. What I'm saying, Christy, is get that curriculum out there to all the community colleges, because we're thirsty for it. We need it.
And that's it. It's like, both Wendy and I have a background in healthcare before what we do now, right? I love curriculum development and I love helping employers, and Wendy does too. And so it's exciting to get to be in a place where you get to do the right thing for the right people who need it, and in a way that will support people's growth and economic well-being as we go forward. But also, it's super fun. I mean, what an incredibly fun and creative environment that AI really can't. I mean, they might help you out with a few things, but they're not going to replace you all. And so, really looking at opportunities for the next generation to be creative. And I think that's a challenge, quite frankly, to other community colleges, is to say, come on, you all, it's not easy. It's not easy, but let's roll our sleeves up and meet the needs of our communities, and listen to our employers and listen to our industry sectors, and let's get alongside them and do what they need, because they're leading the industry, and we can help support their success. So
Absolutely.
Amazing.
I think in a day and age when so many people are just hearing the rhetoric of AI taking your job and robotics taking your job. I know we briefly touched on this earlier, but it's like, yeah, well, if that's the case, let's grow your skill and grow your knowledge and make you, a need and not a want. Let's change that.
Well, and I think too, I know this is probably off the rails a little bit, but the fear, right, with AI and robotics and the sign industry, it's going to take over my job. It's going to eliminate, but I think we need to look at
security through education.
Well, and also too, those things are just tools, right? So we have, as long as we're learning and being trained, and although technically, I will say, last month I posted my article and I used AI to do the design for it on our Facebook.
I'm going to tell Russell that.
Ooh, you don't have to. You don't have to tell Russell.
Did he already hand it to you?
No, like 10 people in the thread handed it to me. I do use AI. Mm-hmm. So this month when I posted our article from Sign Builder Illustrated magazine, I actually drew like a stick person, and then I put a note down the bottom. This design was done by, behind the signs, not AI or whatever. It's great. But
that's always been the case if you think about it. And Joe, I'm going to piggyback off of Elizabeth's back in the day statement here that you'll appreciate. But I mean, I remember one of the very first fabricators that my husband ever hired for his sign company. He had been making signs at that time for probably 30 years. And he did not like to see the AccuBend or the channel letter bender, because he was like, that's going to take my job. He was so afraid when that came in the building. And it was like, no, it's going to make you more efficient. You're still going to be needed because we're in that industry. But it's just like with anything, you have to adapt and learn, and it just makes you better, but it doesn't replace you. And especially when you've set yourself up for success. And as Elizabeth said, you've educated yourself and you're trying to stay ahead of the curve. But, that's just been a very important thing for me. And Christy knows that I've been beating this drum from the beginning. While I love Louisville and Southern Indiana, I needed to have something that does have the ability to have tentacles and grow. Because while there's, I don't even know, I'd love to know, is there even 100 sign shops, 200, 500? I might be able to affect and support them, but nationally, I know I go places all the time. We're all saying the same thing. We don't have the skill sets. We don't have the workforce. So it's not just a regional thing. And so that's why it was just so important to consider, what does this look like so that it can scale with ease, and it then can become, who are the local approved sign shops for that city, for that state, and then who is the boots on the ground for that program, right? That's all it takes to replicate it. We're doing the hard work. Ivy Tech has been amazing. Matthew and Christy, we've all just poured into this. So it's like we're doing it to then be able to scale and be proud of what we've been able to accomplish for the industry.
And it's going to be a hard swing, right? I know we've talked about this. It's a little off topic, but it's going to be a hard swing. People are going to try to overuse it. And then it's the people that know how to use it that will integrate it properly. And that's all about education and not being afraid of both growing, changing, and learning, right?
Exactly, Elizabeth. That's why a community college is the place to be to start, because we're not afraid to grow, learn, and adapt, and change with the times. But that's what it's got to be about. Is we're never done learning, and coming back to your community college so that you can continue to gain those skills in the bite-sized format that you need them to continue to go, right? Kind of like when you all do your runs. I'm sure you've got like some sort of little snack or something that keeps you just kind of going.
Chocolate covered almonds, yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
We're your chocolate covered almonds.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the first podcast. Chris, you're gonna have to edit this out, or don't, because it's funny.
It's great, actually. I just figured it was divine intervention agreeing with the direction of the conversation.
There should be a more subtle way to say to wrap this up. But anyway, well, you guys are doing some incredible work. It's awesome. I know just from behind the science community, I speak for Liz and I, that we're super appreciative of this sort of thing. And I know it's going to just blow up. So the first program starts in August, and we'll put all this in the show notes too. But is there something that we can put in there where people can start pre-signing up for the classes, or is there going to be links or whatever that sign shops? I know Wendy, you said
can get
involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll definitely be sharing that with you guys, because like I said, I've been, as they say, hitting the pavement. I've been doing that. I've already got 2 locals that have pretty much said like they want to sign up to be a part of the approved, and so it's, again, I'm operating in a space that I would rather have as much support and then have to say, can I come back to you for the next round, than to say, I don't have enough support and we can't support the students, right? Because that's going to be its other flip of the coin. We're going to have to introduce our industry to the students and get them interested and get them to sign up. But if I don't have the shops, there's no place for them to go. So, definitely we'll have the spot to, sign up. And again, ideally we'll be in the Midwest. We're going to be right here in this Southern Indiana area for at least the first 2 full rounds, because I need to check in. I need to make sure everything's on track with everything. But that doesn't mean, if you're interested, I'd rather hear from you now. And then I can literally, take a little bit of a breather and be like, see, the industry, really is needing this. And then we can come back and connect with them as we go. So
awesome. Well, I am so excited about this. I know Wendy knows, like, deep down, I'm just giddy, because I know that this is going to grow legs, and it's just going to be great for our industry. It's something that we've been talking about, like I said, for a very, very, very long time. And being the wife of a college professor, I know how hard it is to get new curriculum going, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and not everyone knows that, but this is dedication. And we're really appreciative that you're dedicating your time and effort to this industry. I think our industry will definitely be better for it. It already is better for Wendy. So
yeah, Christy, thank you for believing in us. We appreciate it.
Look, I'm going to give out, a couple of like shout outs because I just need to, but obviously like Russell, I mean, I've had like whole like in-person breakdowns with him, like scared to death, and Matt Baker has been so supportive, and Carrie Brock and Rebecca and Niles. I mean, I could just go on and on with some names of people that I've brought into the fold for like helping me understand things. And obviously like you guys that I've been talking about this before it was even a thing. And it's with like much gratitude, right, that I have you guys and I can lean into all of the wisdom and knowledge. And I know that we just need to do something. And so we're going to try, we're going to do our very best. And Christy and I say all the time, I'm like, I know it's not going to be perfect the first round, nothing is, but if we don't start something, we'll never know. And here we go. We're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's easier to kind of make changes as you go, so you'll learn what does and doesn't work, and then you can morph the program to be more effective if it's needed. So, but I think Christy knows all that, and she's probably better suited to that than any of us are.
100%.
That's the part that I love is being able to be the flexible one and adapt and change and learn and apply what you're learning and then tweak it for next time. So, I mean, getting to work with Wendy and getting to support this industry has been so much fun. Not only are you an incredible industry that with 50,000 sign shops across the country, but you're creative people who are bringing things to life. And it's just such an honor to get to be around a group of people who are doing their thing and loving what they're doing, and then you just get to support them in doing that. And so it was definitely not hard to say yes to Wendy, and it's an honor and a privilege to support this coming forward. And I know everybody at Ivy Tech feels the same way. So.
I mean, it is definitely not hard to say yes to Wendy. It is hard to say no to Wendy.
That's true.
That's one of her gifts.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. And we appreciate your time today and getting the word out. So
let's go conquer this problem.